This is Luke chapter 23, verses 13 through to 25. So the Lord Jesus, he's gone from the Mount of Olives, he's been taken down through to the high priest's palace. And in the night, he's beaten up by the guards of the high priest. And then there's a big assembly of all the high priests, the scribes, and they interview him and trying to accuse him of stuff. And if finally they say to him, "Are you the Son of God?" and he says, "Yes, I am." And finally they think, right, we've got him. This is treason against Rome, and therefore Pilate will be forced to crucify this man. So they take him down to Pilate. And he said, Pilate says to Jesus, "Are you the King of the Jews?" And Jesus says, "Yes, I am." But still Pilate says, well, there's nothing really worth the death sentence here. I think he's seeing that Jesus isn't a military threat or anything to the Roman rule in Israel. And then he hears that Jesus is from Galilee, and Herod's in town, so he sends him off to Herod, thinks, well, he can sort it out. But Herod gets nowhere with Jesus because Jesus doesn't even answer any of his questions. And Herod puts this robe onto Jesus. This it says a gorgeous robe. I think in other versions it says a royal robe, probably purple, and sends him back to Pilate. So Pilate's got, they're passing this hot potato between themselves. They don't really know what to do with Jesus. And so he's back with Pilate and says, Pilate summoned the chief priests and the rulers and the people and said to them, "You brought this man to me as one who incites the people to rebellion, and behold, having examined him before you, I found no guilt in this man regarding the charges which you make against him. No, nor has Herod, for he sent him back to us, and behold, nothing deserving death has been done by him. Therefore I will punish him and release him." Now he was obliged to release to them at the feast one prisoner. And they cried out all together, saying, "Away with this man, and release for us Barabbas." He was one who had been thrown into prison for an insurrection made in the city and for murder. And Pilate, wanting to release Jesus, addressed them again. But they kept on calling out, saying, "Crucify, crucify him." And he said to them the third time, "Why? What evil has this man done? I found in him no guilt demanding death. Therefore I'll punish him and release him." But they were insistent with loud voices, asking that he be crucified. And their voices began to prevail. And Pilate pronounced sentence that their demand be granted. And he released the man they were asking for, who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder. But he delivered Jesus to their will. This is pitiful, isn't it? That that Pilate should be bullied by the chief priests. The chief priests had the Messiah there, and they're bullying Pilate into crucifying the Messiah. And I think Pilate is there thinking, well, this is all about treason and insurrection and having a riot in Jerusalem. That's the last thing I want. And the chief priests are threatening to riot if Jesus isn't crucified. So in the end, Pilate gives way to them. First he says, "Look, I'll have it beaten up for you, and then release him to you." But no, they want him to be killed. They want the Messiah, the King of the Jews, to be murdered. And Pilate just gives way in the end. He just gives way. No doubt he is He has pronounced the death sentence on hundreds of people in Jerusalem and through his career. And this is just another. He probably thinks, well, I've been right on many, but perhaps some I've got wrong. But now he's wrong in that he is pronouncing sentence upon the Son of God.